Welcome to the Hawthorne Mind, the channel designed to challenge the way you think, push your limits, and help you master the art of success. You are one decision away from changing your entire life, one mindset shift away from unlocking your full potential, and one action away from stepping into the person you are meant to become. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't luck, it's mindset, discipline, and relentless action. And that's exactly what we're here to master together. Here, we combine psychology, neuroscience, and the success principles of the world's greatest minds to give you practical strategies that actually work. Whether you want to build unstoppable confidence, break free from limitations, or create a life of success and freedom, this is where your transformation begins. So if you're ready to take control of your life, hit subscribe and let's start this journey together. Because the only thing standing between you and the life you deserve is you. Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at ultra-successful people and thought, what do they know that I don't? They move through life differently. They make success look effortless. And while most of the world struggles to get ahead, they seem to be playing an entirely different game. Is it luck? An unfair advantage? Some secret formula that only the rich and powerful have access to? The truth is, these people think differently. Their success isn't just about what they do. It's about how they see the world, how they react to challenges, and how they train their minds to work for them instead of against them. And the best part, these mental habits aren't exclusive. They're not reserved for the elite. They're available to anyone willing to adopt them, including you. So today, we're going deep. We're pulling back the curtain on the mental habits that separate the top 1% from the rest. If you're ready to start thinking like the ultra-successful, stick with me, because this could change everything. Setting the stage, the mindset of the elite. To really understand why mindset matters, let's go back, way back to ancient Rome. There was a man named Seneca, a philosopher and advisor to the emperor. At one point, he was one of the richest and most powerful men in Rome. But he didn't get there by accident. He got there because of his ability to control his mind, to think strategically, and to train himself to stay unshaken by chaos. One of his greatest habits was something called premeditatio malorum, which basically means preparing for the worst. Every day he would mentally rehearse what could go wrong, not to scare himself, but to build resilience. If he lost all his wealth, if he was betrayed, if disaster struck, he had already faced it in his mind. He had already decided how he would respond. And here's what's crazy. Modern psychology backs this up. Studies show that people who mentally prepare for challenges handle stress better, make clearer decisions, and bounce back faster from setbacks. Now, let's bring this to today's world. Think about someone like Elon Musk. When he started Tesla, he didn't just hope for the best. He actively planned for failure. He told himself, there's a good chance this won't work. But instead of letting that scare him off, he prepared for it. He committed to the process anyway. This is one of the first mental habits of the ultra-successful. They don't let fear of failure stop them. Instead of avoiding discomfort, they lean into it. They prepare for it. And when it comes, they don't panic, they execute. So ask yourself, how do you handle challenges? Do you let them shake you? Or do you train your mind to be ready for them? How the 1% turn obstacles into opportunities. Most people see obstacles as stop signs. The ultra successful, they see them as tests. They don't ask, why is this happening to me? They ask, how can I use this? Let me tell you a story about Thomas Edison. At one point, his entire laboratory burned to the ground. Millions of dollars worth of research gone. Most people would have crumbled. But Edison, he looked at the fire and said, "Thank God all our mistakes were burned up. Now we can start fresh." Who thinks like that? Someone who has trained their mind to use failure instead of fear it. And this isn't just about historical figures. Let's talk about someone more recent, Oprah Winfrey. Did you know she was fired from her first television job? They told her she wasn't cut out for TV. Imagine if she had believed them. Imagine if she had let that rejection define her. But she didn't, because she had the mindset of the ultra-successful. She saw that setback as part of the journey, not the end of it. Now, think about your own life. What's a challenge you're facing right now? Something that feels like a setback? What if, instead of seeing it as something blocking you, you saw it as something preparing you? What if, instead of saying, "Why me?" you started saying, "What is this teaching me?" That's a mental shift that changes everything. The power of ruthless focus. Here's another thing the ultra-successful do differently. They don't chase distractions. They protect their focus like their life depends on it. Because it does. You've probably heard the saying, "Jack of all trades, master of none." The most successful people in the world take this seriously. They don't try to be great at everything. They master one thing. Take Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest people in history. He once told Bill Gates that the secret to success is a single word: focus. Buffett doesn't jump from one business idea to another. He finds what he's best at, refines it, and doubles down on it. And this is where most people get it wrong. They think being productive means doing a million things. But success isn't about doing more. It's about doing the right things. It's about cutting out distractions, eliminating what doesn't matter, and going all in on what does. So let's get real. How much of your time is spent on things that don't actually move you forward? How much time do you lose scrolling, checking notifications, or jumping between random projects instead of mastering something? If you want to think like the 1%, you have to start guarding your focus. Because where your focus goes, your success follows. The habit of thinking in systems, not just goals. Here's a hard truth. Goals alone don't make people successful. Systems do. A lot of people say, "I want to be successful." But that's not a plan, that's a wish. The ultra-successful don't just dream about success. They build structures that make it inevitable. Let's take Kobe Bryant. He didn't just want to be great. He built habits that made greatness unavoidable. He woke up at 4 a.m. every day, practiced for hours before anyone else, and then did it again the next day. His system wasn't based on motivation. It was based on discipline. And that's where most people fail. They rely on motivation, and when that fades, so does their progress. So ask yourself, do you have a system, or are you just hoping for success? Because if you don't have daily habits that are moving you forward, you're leaving your success up to chance, bringing it all together. Here's the big takeaway. The ultra-successful don't leave their mindset to chance. They train it. They prepare for challenges instead of fearing them, They turn setbacks into stepping stones. They protect their focus, and they build systems that make success inevitable. And here's the best part. This isn't some exclusive club. These habits are available to anyone willing to apply them. So the question is, are you going to be one of them? If this hit home for you, if you're ready to start thinking like the ultra successful, make sure you subscribe because we're just getting started. And in the meantime, start practicing these shifts. Even one small change can put you on a completely different path. Now, here's where a lot of people get stuck. They hear all this and think, okay, that sounds great, but how do I actually start shifting my mindset? How do I train myself to think this way? And honestly, it starts with small, everyday decisions. Because the truth is, your mind is like a muscle. Whatever you feed it, whatever you practice, that's what grows stronger. Let's talk about how the ultra-successful train their brains to work for them, not against them. One of the most powerful habits they've mastered is controlling their inner dialogue. The way they talk to themselves isn't random. It's deliberate, it's intentional, and it's designed to keep them moving forward no matter what. Imagine two people facing the same challenge. One says, "Ugh, I'm terrible at this. I'll never figure it out." The other says, "This is tough, but I'll get it. I've figured out harder things before." Same situation, completely different outcomes. Because here's what most people don't realize. Your brain listens to what you tell it. If you constantly say you're bad at something, guess what? Your brain will believe you. But if you tell yourself, "I can figure this out," even if you don't fully believe it at first, your mind will start searching for ways to make it true. Think about someone like Michael Jordan. He didn't make his high school varsity basketball team. Imagine if he had told himself, "Well, I guess I'm just not cut out for this." We wouldn't even know his name today, but instead, he used that failure as fuel. He told himself a different story, one where he became the greatest of all time. That's the difference between people who stay stuck and people who rise above. It's not about ignoring reality. It's about choosing a mindset that keeps you in the game long enough to win. And speaking of staying in the game, let's talk about another habit that separates the ultra-successful: how they handle fear. Most people think success is about eliminating fear, but that's a myth. The best in the world still feel fear. The difference is they don't let it control their decisions. Think about it. How many times have you stopped yourself from going after something because you were afraid? Afraid of failing? Afraid of looking stupid? Afraid of what people might think? That fear is what keeps most people trapped in mediocrity. But the top 1%? They reframe fear. Instead of seeing it as a stop sign, they see it as a signal that they're on the edge of something big. There's this famous story about Richard Branson. When he was launching Virgin Airlines, he had no experience in the airline industry. People thought he was crazy, but instead of letting fear hold him back, he made a deal with Boeing. If the airline failed within the first year, he could return the planes. That's the key. He didn't ignore the risk, but he found a way to move forward anyway. That's what the ultra-successful do. They don't let fear make their decisions. They acknowledge it, they work around it, and they keep moving forward. And you know what else they do? They protect their energy like their life depends on it. Most people don't realize how much their environment influences their success. The 1% are ruthless about who and what they give their attention to. You ever notice how some people always have drama, always have an excuse, always have a reason why things aren't working out for them? If you spend too much time around that energy, it's going to rub off on you. It's like secondhand smoke. Eventually, it affects your health. Ultra successful people don't just hang out with anyone. They surround themselves with people who challenge them, who inspire them, who make them think bigger. It's not about being snobby. It's about protecting their mindset. Think about someone like Steve Jobs. He was obsessed with surrounding himself with the best minds. He didn't want people who just agreed with him. He wanted people who pushed him, who made him think differently. That's how he built Apple into what it is today. And it's not just about people. It's about what you consume. What are you feeding your mind? The ultra successful don't waste hours scrolling mindlessly or consuming negativity. They're intentional about what they watch, what they read, what they listen to. That's why so many successful people swear by reading. Bill Gates reads 50 books a year. Warren Buffett spends 80% of his day reading. Why? Because they understand that knowledge compounds. The more you learn, the sharper your mind gets. But here's the thing. Learning isn't enough. A lot of people fall into the trap of consuming information but never applying it. They read all the books, watch all the motivational videos, but nothing changes. The 1%? They take action. They don't just absorb knowledge. They test it. They experiment. They implement. There's this great quote, "Knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, we must do." That's the difference. So, let's bring it all together. If you want to think like the ultra successful, start with your inner dialogue. Talk to yourself in a way that moves you forward. Learn to see fear as a signal, not a stop sign. Protect your energy. Be intentional about who and what you surround yourself with. And most importantly, don't just consume information, apply it. Because at the end of the day, success isn't reserved for a special few. It's the result of the habits you build, the mindset you choose, and the actions you take, day in and day out. So now the question is, what are you going to do with this? Are you just going to nod and think, that was interesting? Or are you going to start making changes? Because if you do, if you really commit to shifting your mindset, you might just surprise yourself with what you're capable of. And trust me, the version of you that's waiting on the other side of that transformation, they're worth it. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. This all sounds great, but can I really do it? Can I really train my mind to think like the ultra successful? And my answer, absolutely. Because here's the thing, none of this is about being born different. It's not about having superhuman discipline or some secret advantage that only the rich and powerful know about. It's about small shifts, tiny changes, simple things you can start doing today that will compound over time. Think about it like this. If you were to improve just 1% every single day, whether it's in your mindset, your habits, or your focus, where do you think you'd be in a year? Not just a little better, not just a little ahead. You'd be on a completely different level. That's how this works. The ultra successful? They didn't wake up one day and suddenly think differently. They built it. They practiced it. They reinforced these habits daily until they became second nature. And the best part? You don't need to do all of this overnight. You don't have to completely change your life in one dramatic move. You just have to start. Maybe today, you start by paying attention to how you talk to yourself. Catch those moments when you say, I can't, or I'm not good at this, and flip them into, I'm figuring this out, or I'm getting better. Maybe tomorrow, you take a closer look at your environment. Are you surrounded by people who push you forward, or ones who keep you stuck? Do you need to start being more intentional about what you watch, what you read, and what you listen to? And maybe this week, you stop waiting for motivation and start building a system. Instead of saying, I want to be successful, decide what that actually looks like in your daily life. What are the small, repeatable actions that will get you there? Because that's how real change happens. Not in some big, dramatic breakthrough, but in the little choices you make every single day. And if you ever doubt yourself, if you ever start thinking, maybe I am not cut out for this, I want you to remember something. Every successful person you admire once stood exactly where you are right now. They had doubts. They had fears. They had moments where they wanted to quit. The only difference? They kept going. And now it's your turn. So if this video hit home for you, if you're feeling that spark, don't just let it fade. Do something with it. Pick one thing, just one, that you're going to start applying today. And if you're serious about leveling up your mindset and creating real success, make sure you subscribe, because we're just getting started. I'll see you in the next one. But until then, go make it happen. So if you're ready to take control of your life, hit subscribe, and let's start this journey together. Because the only thing standing between you and the life you deserve is you. The Hawthorne Mind. Master your mind, master your life.